To answer the difficult questions, we must step back and see if the questions or perspectives themselves are valid. To do so, when it comes to the question of God and science, we have to address what science and the scientific process is. Put simply, science is the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation, experimentation, and the testing of theories against the evidence obtained. The results are then used to build and organize knowledge in an effort to further the betterment of humanity. There is a misconception that science has proven that there is no God and that an individual must not believe in God if they support science. This same thinking then falsely surmises that therefore those that believe in God must not believe in science or may even be less intelligent. However, this perception is completely invalid and should call into question the motive of those that say such things. To prove the existence of God either way, science demands definitive proof that can be replicated over and over. The truth at this point is that our science has neither proven nor disproven the existence of God. Hypotheses are assumptions made before research. Theories are well substantiated, unifying explanations backed by evidence. And facts are observations confirmed so many times that scientists can call them true. However, everything in science comes with a level of uncertainty, so nothing is ever scientifically true beyond a shadow of a doubt. So there are scientists that hypothesize that God exists and scientists that hypothesize that God does not exist. Both sides believe they may have enough evidence for a conclusion on a theory of God's existence or lack thereof. However, because there is still no universal acceptance, neither side can claim their position as fact. The simple truth is, to claim that science says there is no God is completely unscientific. In the search for your own truth, it will be important to take note of individuals that make such claims and treat them as offering opinions over fact. And to remember that opinions are often motivated by various non-related and often biased sources, because there is no definitive answer. We, as outside observers seeking to ask our own questions, are free to find our own truth. Since we are asking the question, does God exist, and is there any scientific evidence that supports that view? We will be focusing on those items that will help answer our questions. The truly scientific view is that though we may not know for sure, we can know enough to come to our own conclusions. There is a growing segment of the scientific community that is arguing for the existence of what they call a higher power. However, let us first address the two main concerns of scientists who disagree. The first is that for God to exist and be powerful enough to be the one who created everything, he would have to operate beyond the scientific laws. Second, they say that if, on the other hand, God is restricted by the rules of science, that he is simply not powerful enough to be the creator of everything. In the first case, they see no proof as of yet, and in the second, it is an automatic disqualifier. As we have discussed prior, it is important to take a step back and look at the big picture and ask the bigger questions, rather than to be drawn in and miss the forest for the trees. There are important points to make in regard to these two objections. If man is looking for evidence of God by looking for things that break the laws of science, there are a couple of issues. First, why would God need to follow humanity's rules of science? For example, scientists say that God would need to be able to move faster than the speed of light, and since they have not discovered anything that can do that, then God must not exist. But why does God need to move faster than the speed of light? Believers say that God is everywhere. God does not need to travel at the speed of light if he is omnipresent. In other words, our science is limited by our knowledge. And if we do not have sufficient knowledge, how can we draw definitive conclusions? We have a lot to learn. We thought the sun orbited the Earth until 1632, and until 1924 we thought our galaxy was the universe. It wasn't until 1995 that we realized that the universe contains millions of galaxies. 2013, 225 billion galaxies, and 2016, 1.2 trillion galaxies. The wonderful thing about science is that it continues to evolve, but it is important to note that it is a work in progress. The second objection is that God would not be powerful enough if he had to work within the laws of science. Why would we assume that God would want or need to work outside the laws of science? If God is the creator of everything and creation works alongside the laws of science, why would we need to look for items that do not work within those rules? A better question would be, could God exist in a form or plane of existence where he does not need to follow the rules of science? The issue with these types of questions, though, is that they really aren't the questions that are truly important. They're interesting, but don't really matter to us personally. There are really only two questions that matter. Does God exist, and is there evidence that points to the existence of God? We are neither advocating for or against the existence of God, and although science has not come to a conclusion either way, there are a number of proofs that scientists and believers point to that favor the existence of God. They say that not only does it appear that God exists, but that science can show evidence of that existence. A number of the discussions that follow will look closer at these proofs. For further and more in-depth discussions on this series and related topics, please visit Aware Care Share.